You know, it's been a while since I wanted to try out Dreams on my PlayStation. I always see the really cool creations made by the community, and it feels so surreal to be able to make a game, a character, a movie, all just using your console. For example, I was seeing some Fallout 4 gameplay, and out of a sudden I saw a little Made in Dreams logo on it. Color me intrigued. I am a game developer working in the Unreal Engine for about 3 years now, and I really like making characters in Blender, sculpting in ZBrush, and programming in Unreal. In that period of time, I made a bunch of game jams. I made a game called Siren Headed Woods, I had a game called The Unlighted, and now I have a big project called Sparkmuts that I'm working on. So this should be kind of an interesting experiment, I think. Hey there friends, I'm Leo, and today I'm going to be documenting the whole process of making my first game Made in Dreams. The first thing I started doing was the tutorials, and man, there are a lot of tutorials. But when you think about it, this is a full game engine. I know you can't really compare to something like Unreal or Unity, but even then, how can you even map all of that different control scheme and all of the things that you need on just one PlayStation controller? I am genuinely impressed by the work that Media Molecule, which is the company that made this game, the work they did was superb. It is really impressive. With that being said, my first days working on this game were awful. There are a lot of controls that are based on the movement of your controller, so it is very overwhelming at first. You see this little fur ball here? This is your cursor. It moves according to your controller. This guy is essential to navigate through the game, and this is how you will be doing 80% of anything, at least in the beginning. On the first days, I honestly would rather just sculpt a character in ZBrush, make it in Blender, animate it, and then port it over to Unreal. That would be a lot easier than making a character in Dreams. But I can definitely see how you can get used to this control scheme and how it can be a lot more natural to you. Just think about to your grandma trying to use the mouse on your computer. It's pretty much the same thing. After following the first couple of tutorials, I went through the motions and I wanted to start sculpting my first character. In the first couple of hours, I wasn't even able to change the proportions of the character. I didn't even know how to use the stretch tool, or how to paint, or even how to select parts of the character, or how to subtract parts of the character, or how to sculpt different shapes, or how to change the proportions of. So on the first day, I went to bed defeated. I wasn't able to do anything. I literally had dreams where I was working in Dreams to make a character. I know you think I'm joking, but I am dead serious. I had a dream about making games in Dreams. But on the second day, something started happening. I woke up, had some coffee, and went to try again. I started watching loads and loads of tutorials and stuff started happening. I started to have a little bit of a character there. The controls started to feel a little bit more natural in my hands. Just a little bit. I started feeling a creative surge, my hands being guided into shaping this creature. Once I realized I had created something.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
So, my first try wasn't really good. It's kind of weird, honestly. I wanted to do this sort of doll character, but it also was kind of a zombie character with the brains coming out of it. And I tried to sculpt the brains, but it just looks like this weird kind of thing. Oh, and just a side note, I don't know how to do animations. Those are all procedurally animated from the Dream system, which is very cool. After I was done with that weird creation, I decided to start a scene and play with some models made by the community, and that is when my jaw dropped. Just look at this thing. It's a mech whale sort of thing, and it's just gorgeous. Could I maybe even control this whale? Well, yes I can, and it is really good. My controller even vibrates when it moves, and you have even stuff like physics on the little dangling cables. And not to mention even the inverse kinematics on the feet, it's just so, chef's kiss. And now we also have Mario, and we also have this little robot dude. But wait, what's this? Oh, Spider-Man. Yeah guys, now we have Spider-Man running around next to Mario and some mech whale thing. Is that King Ghidorah? So what if I place it and Jesus Christ, this thing is huge. Well, maybe this is some art piece that someone made and you can't really control the characters, and maybe the characters don't really have any animations, right? right? No, I can actually possess and control King Ghidorah. It even sprays some fire from its mouth and even flies a little bit with custom animations. Oh, and now I'm Mario walking on water running from King Ghidorah. Well, I never expected to say this in my life. Ever. All of these characters gave me an idea. Could I maybe try and edit one of them? Maybe like getting Batman and painting him green to make Irish Batman? Let's try it out. So I decided to try and edit that Mario, maybe remove his hat and see if I could make another type of hat. You know, kind of like the skins in Super Mario Odyssey, but ugly. I found this torus looking shape, so I placed that on his head. Now let's grab the subtract shape and add a couple of holes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mario has a big cheese on his head now. This led me into a big cheese rabbit hole, and this is the result. One thing that I wanted to try out was to add a different beard to Mario, so I tried actually sculpting for a change. Also an eye patch, because why not? Now Mario looks like a veteran pirate captain of the Cheese Pearl. And we're done. Now we just gotta set up some sort of scene where we can use this Cheese Mario. The first thing I started thinking about was an enemy AI system. So I searched for a tutorial on how to make enemy AI and I found this really good one. In the video, the guy opens up a series of different windows with a bunch of cables connecting stuff everywhere, and it is pretty overwhelming. I followed through his explanation and I started having a better idea on how stuff works in Dreams. So essentially he has 3 states that the AI goes through. Each one of them has a microchip, which is the name they use for little folders of logic. And all of the code that he needs for each one of these states is inside one of these microchips. I started learning, sure, but nowhere near enough where I would be able to make something from scratch. The coolest thing in Dreams, I think, is that it is very, very collaborative. There is this option here called remix, where you can edit someone's work while seeing everything they did. This is a great tool to learn how the sausage was made, as well as a very good way to quickly prototype a game. It is like having a Quixel Megascans library that extended over every single project that was made in Unreal Engine, for example. And then after you publish your remix, the name of the person that made the original one is listed on the credits, as well as the name of everyone that made an art or an asset that was used on that remix. This is what I did with Mario, but at this point I started realizing that you can remix anything that is in Dreams. So I grabbed the enemy AI project that the guy used on the video, and from there I was able to use that as a launching point where I would be able to learn a lot more on how the AI is working. And yes, after a couple of hours studying through it, I was getting a better and better idea on how you can program new things using the Dreams workflow. I figured out how the player was dealing damage to the enemies, that it is this emitter right here that is spawned by the player. It is essentially a particle system that contains a health modifier, and a health modifier is something that modifies the health of anything it collides with. So I plucked a health modifier on Mario's fist, so that every time he punches, he's going to deal damage to any enemy that the punch affects. After setting up all of the collisions properly, I still had a problem. It was detecting all the time, even when Mario wasn't punching. What I do in SparkMuts, my main game, don't forget to wishlist it on Steam, is that I keep track of all of the actors that you hit, so then you don't hit them again. And once you are done attacking, it is going to reset the array of affected actors. Of course that in addition to that, my weapon does not do any sort of collision tracing when you are not in the act of swinging your weapon. So how do we set up something like that in Dreams? The solution that I've used is to open up Mario's puppet logic, and on the circle button I added a connection. This connection goes all the way to this power button for the health modifier. What we have now is that every time I press the circle button, it is going to turn the collision on or off. And that's not what we want. So I also added a timer and connected the circle button to it. This timer is going to wait just a little under a second and then turn the collision off. And there we go, now we are dealing damage only when attacking. After repeating the same process for the other hand, I wanted to also have some health modifiers on Mario's feet, so that he can jump on top of enemies' heads. This took a little bit more work and a couple of shenanigans, but after a couple hours I was able to get it working, kinda. Now what I need to figure out is what is the element that is making the AI detect the player. After hitting my head against the wall a couple of times, I figured out how to add a tag for the player and it all started working. Oh, so you noticed the cheese Goomba, did you now? Yeah, I got a Goomba model and I made him cheesy too. You're welcome. And now that we have some semblance of a game working, let's make a map and call it a day. I started off on the same map, just adding a couple of objects that I found on the community tab, and just making this sort of forest with some cheese, which is something that I kind of want to do for some reason. I kind of like cheese, yeah, Gouda cheese is pretty good. On top of those big pieces of cheese, I also wanted to have some chumbas, which is how I am naming the cheese Goombas. It's chumbas, right? All in all, I really enjoyed the experience and I really like Dreams. I think it is one of the most interesting and one of the most unique games I have ever played. Oh, and after a week, I am now very used to the controls. In fact, I am so used to the controls that every time that I'm playing Ratchet and Clank now, when I try to move Rivet or maybe the camera, I don't even know what my brain is doing. I'm always doing this, kind of trying to figure out where my cursor is. It is very weird. I want to try and make some more Dream stuff, maybe some fan games in the future about, I don't know, like Irish Batman or something. I really liked working on this one, so stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy game development tips and devlogs. Also, feel free to check out my game on Steam, Sparkmuts. Did I talk about Sparkmuts already? Yeah, I probably did, but go check it out on Steam. And join the Discord server to be a part of the community. All links will be on the pinned comment down below. I'm Leo, signing off.